Darts.
Nothing.
Darts.
Today.
You're very nervous today. I don't know what's wrong with you.
I've been here.
Your energy's all off.
I've been here.
I'm worried about you on Saturday.
Last time I
don't think you're taking this fight right.
I'm 3-0 against you, sir.
Following the entrance in the much-anticipated fight week, Terence Crawford and Eddie Hearn just engaged in a verbal altercation. Meanwhile, Israel Madrimov is optimistic that he will triumph over Terence Crawford in their fight this Saturday, given that though Terence might have some advantages, still it will not be so facile, because Israel will go into this fight with a motive to establish himself as a top fighter. Israel stated he has his advantages. Of course, he's fighting at home, he's got a lot of fans, a big name, and all of that to carry, but I've also got my advantages. I've got a lot of motivation, I've got something to prove, and it's a challenge, but we will see fight night. Discussing the strategy that he will most possibly employ in response to Terence's stealthy moves, Israel stated how though people might shrug off his capabilities inside the ring, he is still the champion in this weight class, and has the competence to go against a fighter like Crawford. He stated, "I have respect for Terence, and I like his style. He is my favorite boxer, and he has a high IQ, but I have these too. I have my style, and I have the switch and the size. I think this fight is going to be very interesting for fans and for both Terence and me." Madrimov, despite having a rather brief career with only 11 professional fights, is the last person to gloss over, as this young fighter with his superlative fighting stance and unmatched vigor is considered analogous to boxing legend Golovkin, according to many boxing pros who think that Madrimov's perseverance and tenacity makes him similar to the undefeated legend, especially considering that both of them have Central Asian backgrounds. Joel Diaz, Madrimov's trainer, emphasized that even so, Terence is a menacing fighter who has the tact and skills to adapt to any fighter that he comes across inside the ring. Madrimov is also being conditioned to make use of his own expertise, which will eventually help him in evading Terence's brutal attacks.
So dynamic, he's got a lot of confidence, he's very technical, and believe me, if you make mistakes with Crawford, he'll make you pay for them. But, you know, due to that, at this point, I just think that Israel is very disciplined. He's a solid 154-pounder, younger, and, you know, he has similar tools as...
Admiring the dedication that Israel has shown throughout the camp, Joel stated how Israel is one of the most disciplined and self-controlled fighters he ever had the chance to work with, and it is only fair that Israel got the chance to go against a fighter of such stature so early on in his career. He stated, "He's healthy and he's determined and he's hungry." Israel Madrimov is by far one of the most disciplined fighters I have ever seen in camp. He is 100% disciplined and straight-up boxing, and I know he's ready to take this position. He added, "We are glad and we are very happy and honored to be part of this event against a great fighter and great person like Terence Crawford." Commenting on the possible outcome of this fight, Joel stated that despite Terence's immaculate defense and technical prowess, if Madrimov sticks to the well-crafted plan that they have established during their sessions, he will be able to overpower Terence and hurt him badly in earlier rounds, which will completely turn the tide of this fight in his favor. Joel said, "We're going to see a very complicated fight in the early rounds just until we try to figure out Crawford, but I know that if everything goes well and the plan is followed by Israel based on our plan of attack by the 5th or 6th round, once Israel's already got his timing and distance, he can hurt him." With all this news coming from Madrimov's camp, Terence also had an exhilarating encounter that caught everyone's attention as recently. Some snippets of an alleged match between Terence and the former undefeated champion of the world, Andre Ward, were released to the public, which amped up the already stoked crowd for what is about to come next.
He said 3. Today I get some rounds with the GOAT, one of the GOATs.
Noticing this critical acclaim, just a few hours ago, the full thing was released to give more insight to the fans about this unaccustomed matchup. This sparring session, which lasted for 3 rounds, was set up by Ward to see for himself how good of a fighter Terence is and to bestow him with professional understanding on how to achieve his goal to become a world champion in all weight classes. Steven Nelson, who is on the way to make his comeback later this year, recalled his experience of seeing two of the best names in boxing coming together and clashing with one another from the first-class view that he had while sharing the gym space. According to Nelson, it was sensational because the sheer level of mastery and aptitude that was displayed was out of the world, and gives you some hindsight for what is about to come from Terence as he gears up to face the young prodigy. Steven stated, "It's like watching a chess game with two of the best chess players in the world. It wasn't so much like fireworks, it was more entertaining to see both of these guys trying to figure out what's going to work, and it was a gem. You can't compare it to nothing." On the other hand, with the ongoing camp and wearing sparring sessions now ending with the start of the fight week, both the fighters have taken upon the usual mantle of generating as much hype surrounding the fight as possible, with Terence being in the direct spotlight after the acrimonious exchange that he recently had with none other than Eddie Hearn during his visit to BMO Stadium. Engaging in what can only be described as a witty conversation, both Terence and Eddie launched verbal jabs at one another, with Eddie pointing out how Terence looks agitated and brittle in the wake of his upcoming bout. Terence, in retribution, threw remarks on how the world would see the agitated one on Saturday night.
Darts.
Nothing.
Darts.
Today.
You're very nervous today. I don't know what's wrong with you.
I've been here.
Your energy's all off.
I've been here.
I'm worried about you on Saturday.
Last time I
don't think you're taking this fight right.
I'm 3-0 against you, sir.
However, this banter took a frenzied turn when Eddie brought up the match between his fighter Ricky Bruns and Terence, which went down almost a decade ago, and compared it to the fight that Terence will have Madrimov. Affronted by these comments made by Eddie, Terence slammed the promoter for trying to bring up Ricky's name and for making his point in such an off-putting manner.
Burns, you're 135 pounds. Who is
That's
that
your
one?
best champion.
Dongo?
That's your best champion.
That was your hardest fight.
That's your best
That
champion.
was your hardest fight.
Why
Guess
would
what?
you disrespect your
This
best champion?
This is going to be your hardest fight, Saturday.
That's your best champion.
Yeah,
Why would
115,
you disrespect that
113.
man?
Should have been a draw.
Never.
See the scorecards.
See, man, where Ricky at, man? I like Ricky,
So do
dude.
I.
Where Ricky
115,
at? Man, you
113.
disrespectful.
You robbed him in Scotland.
You disrespectful.
You robbed him in
Looking at the history of this match that Eddie alluded to was way back during the days when Terence was only 26 years old and was in the process of blooming into the fighter that he is today. While observing the state of this fight, the point that Eddie was most likely trying to make was that Terence would have a tough time dealing with Madrimov on Saturday, similar to the relentless and fierce battle that he had with Ricky. One thing that Eddie might have overlooked during his presumption is even though Ricky was reportedly one of the most unyielding opponents that Terence has faced during his career, Bud still came out victorious in the end, relying on his excellent pliability, and became the WBO lightweight champion of the world. With the ongoing speculation and theatrics, it's no doubt that this fight is going to be one of the biggest events in boxing history because of its lucrative nature and the fact that it is the first time that a foreign party, nevertheless the Saudi sheikhs, have decided to host an event in the most marketable and desired city in the world. Turki Al Al-Sheikh, the main organizer of these events, has pined over a chance like this for a very long time, to not only provide the fans with what they have been yearning for, but to also expand the horizon of Saudi influence in sports. So it is no surprise that he is over the moon with the fight being only a few weeks away, which is a sentiment he expressed in his latest chat with Eddie Hearn.
The biggest event I've ever seen in this country.
Yeah, this is amazing card in Los Angeles. I don't remember ever in Los Angeles card like this.
But not just that, what you just showed me. The plans this week, the grand arrivals on Santa Monica Pier, the workout on Santa Monica Pier, and a card, a night of boxing, free to the public on Wednesday night. Thursday, the Chinese Theatre for the press conference. Friday, LA Live, 9 p.m. for the big weigh-in. Saturday, the best card I've ever seen.
And Eminem.
And Eminem.
Turki also voiced his support for his longtime favorite champion and favorite fighter Terence, while cautioning Eddie Hearn that without a speck of doubt in his mind, Terence will tear down Madrimov on Saturday night, proving once again that he is invincible. Turki stated, "You lose everything just like the 5 versus 5. Crawford will eat your fighters in a maximum of 8 rounds." With this event being the first of its kind to take place on American soil, boxing fans and pros alike are all frenzied by the possibility of seeing one of the greatest fighters of this generation, who is looking for a chance at greatness, go against one of the most resilient young fighter in the division, who is going to an opportunity of his lifetime. Paulie Malignaggi, a former champion and boxing analyst, thinks that the main reason behind the favorable outcome of this event is based upon the history of Riad season, orchestrating one big matchup after another, which is something that was seldom observed in the last 2 decades of boxing. Paulie stated, "There has been an average of 2 to 3 upsets, odds makers upsets per show, so it's really the kind of matchups that we're finally getting, that it's going back to the throwing throwback situation, as for a while, we weren't getting these kinds of matchups. With the fight right around the corner, a recent trend was observed on social media, where many boxing fans and analysts pointed out the possibility of Crawford versus Madrimov not being on the same market level as a Canelo fight would have been based solely on the numbers that Canelo attracts, which is something Terence might lack, despite being an accomplished fighter. Sharing the same outlook, Chris Algeriri, a former welterweight champion, thinks that it is unfortunate that a fighter such as Terence has never had a fair shot to show his side of the story, which is a pivotal step undertaken by many fighters to garner favor and support from the fans.
Year off of that Spence fight, where the public did not get to see him. You know what he was doing in that year? Training. He was in the gym. He was helping his other guys, helping his teammates, staying in the gym, living in the gym. Yeah, he had his little bit of tour. He bounced around a little bit for a couple months after the fight for a little bit. But then he got back in the gym. And we missed all of that opportunity to see that character that you just mentioned shine through. This guy needs to be active. He's the best fighter in the world, and he's not fighting enough. We need to see him. He's not.
Chris also brought up unlikely comparisons between Terence and Ryan Garcia, stating how despite being shunned from the whole boxing community after his PED scandal and controversial affairs, Ryan is still able to garner attention for himself, while a fighter like Crawford, who has one of his most important fight coming up, has only been in main news in the last couple of days.
Not Ryan Garcia. Ryan doesn't need to fight, and you see him on camera every damn weekend. He showed up at the Pacquiao fight this weekend, just to be there, in Japan.
In Japan?
In Japan.
Yeah, a rising card.
He's in the ring after the fight. See, Terence isn't
in the ring
guy.
too.
Yeah. Terence is going to be the guy who's going to be in the gym. He's working in silence. That's the problem. Our best fighters, because our sport's so difficult, you have to put so much of your life, so much of your time into it. You don't have time for that self-promotion. If you're going to be the very best, if you're going to be the Michael Jordan of boxing,
you're also not going to be a star.
You're living in the gym, but you're not going to have that star quality where.
Looking at the records and past elements, this concern might be valid considering the lack of promotional adeptness and the long-running events. It has been indicated various times how Riad season events occasionally result in fans not going out of their way to attend an 8-hour-long event, and those who usually reportedly make an appearance are left chagrined by the wait that they have to face to see their favorite fighter. Paulie, addressing this issue, stated, "I personally love these big shows, but your average boxing fan has an attention span of maybe 2-3 hours at most, so out of these huge long shows, you can make 2-3 shows out of them for back-to-back weeks, and you might sell them better. Who knows, maybe these shows are too long and people can't really get into them." Moving on to talk about the eventful fight on August 3rd, Tim Bradley has chosen his champion to be Terence, emphasizing the point that Terence is one of the only few boxers of this generation, including his recent sparring partner Andre Ward, who has the same robustness and resolve in him which was seen back in the golden era of boxing. He stated, "When you are at the absolute best, you are hungry. Terence Crawford is the most competitive guy that I've ever met. The only other guy that I know that's as competitive as he is Andre Ward. These two guys are ultimate competitors." Tim also reminisced about the experience that Crawford had gained over the years by fighting some of the best guys in boxing, namely Josh Horn, who Tim thinks will be the most important lesson as Madrimov may pose a similar threat to Crawford as Horn did. So the best strategy for Terence would be to use the same intricate footwork that he used when he faced Jeff Horn at 147.
I bullied Manny Pacquiao, you know? No, the skill level's not there. However, the awkwardness is there. The strength is there. The power is there of Jeff Horn. He can give Crawford some problems. And Crawford handled him pretty easily.
Thinking of it as an easy hurdle for Crawford to pass over, Tim applied his analogy with a comparison to Terence's past opponents to point out how Bud is known for his ability to go against guys who are bigger and stronger than him, as it almost seems to drive him further to the point where he wants to get inside the ring just for the sake to prove how he is not intimidated by any tactics that might be used against him. He stated, "I know what Crawford can do. I saw what he did against these other guys that we thought were big, strong, aggressive. Oh, they are gonna maul him, they are gonna do this and that. He still handled them easily. So I look at this fight and I'm saying, all right, where does Madrimov lie?" However, something that Tim might have overlooked is that though Madrimov shares many characteristics with Terence's past opponents such as Horn, he still has the youth and indestructible spirit that all of them seem to lack, which is something that Terence has not faced for a very long time and has the aptness to throw him off his usual tactics. Weighing in on the fact that people seem to miscalculate Madrimov and his expertise, boxing expert and legendary coach Teddy Atlas thinks that Madrimov is a hard opponent for Terence as he is much younger and bigger than him, which most likely comes with him being quite powerful. According to Teddy, this brute strength paired up with Madrimov's abilities to switch into different fighting styles by using his pre-planned jabs is something that Terence has not seen before.
Do anything extraordinary except he's consistent. He uses his jab. He knows, like I said, how to go downstairs. he knows how to step out of range. He's just a solid guy, and a bigger guy, and a younger guy, 7 years younger. And as I said, also a guy like Crawford.
Despite this deep analysis of Madrimov's positive attributes, Teddy still thinks that it would be Terence who wins based on his ability to land precise punches, which have the potential to dismantle his opponents completely, no matter how strong they are. And in this case of Madrimov, though it might not happen instantly with a knockout, as many people might expect, still Terence will be able to get an upper hand over the Uzbek fighter if he sticks to his famous techniques. Teddy stated, "I'm picking Crawford to win. I don't know if he'll stop him by a knockout. What I think Crawford is capable of doing with his speed and his length and how he is on the outside, I think he's capable of dissecting him from the right distance with very precise, accurate punches and good eyes." So in the end, what do you guys think about this bout? Would it be the all-time favorite fighter who comes out victorious in the end? Or will it be the young skilled prodigy who proves everyone wrong by defeating a world champion? This being said, make sure to tell us about your thoughts in the comments below, and if you like this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel.